Well, friends, very good afternoon to all of you. It's such a pleasure to be coming to the Shiv Nada University here. It's my first time. I'll be speaking to you about the role of properly planned cities, both for urban development and for rural rejuvenation in India's current stage of development. What do I mean by properly planned cities? I don't mean cities which just have plans on paper, but that these plans are actually implemented on the ground and we can foster synergy between the cities and the rural sector. Let me begin with the context in which I'm talking of the role of these cities. As you know, for close to 2 decades now, India has been among the fastest growing economies in the world. In fact, if you take the period from 2003 to 2014, we experienced a growth rate of our GDP of 7.6% per year, which is unprecedented. We did have a little slippage for 2 years, but this year, again, the Reserve Bank of India has projected a growth rate of 7.6%, which means we are back on the rapid growth trajectory. This acceleration in India's growth is attributable to wide-ranging economic reforms that were launched in 1991. These reforms really opened the Indian economy both to foreign trade and investment, to competition from foreign trade and benefits from foreign investment, as well as unleashing market forces in the domestic economy. So there was greater competition in the marketplace in India. Most of you were not born in 1991. So you have never seen the slower growing Indian economy as we did when we were in college and schools. In the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, Indian economy grew at the rate of 3.5% per annum. In the next 2 decades, the growth picked up somewhat to 5.5% per annum. But it was really in the last 15 years or so that India has taken off to grow at a very rapid rate, even in comparison with other developing economies of the world. Now, urbanization is an inevitable outcome that has resulted from India's transition to a faster growth. Urban population of India in 2001 was 286 million. It increased to 377 million in 2011, to 420 million in 2015, and it is projected to increase to 600 million by 2031. The absolute numbers are staggering. But even so, India's urban population is just about 35% of the total population, which is much less than in countries which are our natural competitors. For example, in Indonesia, urbanization is 54%. In China, it is 56%. In Brazil, it is 87%. In Mexico, 79%. So we have a long way to go if we stay on the path of sustained rapid growth. So in this background, I would like to pose 3 questions and then address these questions to emphasize the role of cities. The first question I will put is, why do cities matter? Very often when I talk to young audiences, inevitably there is at least one question that comes up saying, why should we not invest more in agriculture? Why do we not have better infrastructure so we can make rural areas better places to be in and people will not have to move to cities? Why do we have to invest in cities? The answer to that question is that yes, indeed, we need to invest more in agriculture because our agriculture has been growing at very slow rates. In more recent years, we've seen growth of less than 2% in our agriculture. And the potential is somewhere around 4 to 4.5% for agricultural growth. So definitely we need to invest more in research, in soil and water management, in our extension practices to realize our potential for agricultural growth. But if we want to reduce poverty in a short time, we need to grow at much faster than 4 and 4.5% per annum. We need to grow at least 8% per annum. And that growth of 8% per annum of GDP can only come from industry and services sector. This happened in the last 10 to 15 years. Our growth was driven principally by the services sector and supplemented with growth, faster growth of the knowledge-based industry sectors such as auto components, pharmaceuticals, and automotive sectors. And when it comes to the growth of these industry and service sectors, cities play a major role. They provide an environment in which these sectors can grow, and they are essentially the engines of growth. I would like to read a quote from Jane Jacobs from her seminal work, where she puts it extremely well. She says, nations are political and military entities. They are not particularly useful for probing the mysteries of economic structure or the reasons of rise and decline of wealth. Among all the various types of economies, cities are unique in their abilities to shape and reshape the economies of other settlements, including those far removed from them geographically, unquote. Now, this has relevance for what planned cities in India can do for rural rejuvenation. I'll talk about that a little later. For now, let me just say that Indian cities have a rich historical legacy and geographical diversity. They offer an array of economic and cultural variety. We need to harness these strengths to plan our cities in a manner that they can offer what we call economies of agglomeration. We plan for transport and land use in an integrated manner. We plan for public service delivery. We plan for affordable housing in a way in which cities can offer a better quality of life to their residents and also an environment which actually encourages investors to come into these locations and invest. So cities can then become the drivers of our national economy. Unfortunately, what we saw in the last 10-15 years when cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Chennai, Ahmedabad, Delhi acted as engines of growth, this was not done in a planned manner. So what has happened is urbanization has got a bad name. Because these cities are bursting at the seams, they are suffering from traffic congestion, from poor air quality, from poor public service delivery. The reflex reaction of a lay individual is, why do we need more urbanization? Urbanization is not an option, it is not in choice. If we have rapid growth, urbanization we will have. What we need is planned urbanization, and this is why you have heard a lot of national missions that have been talking about urban rejuvenation, beginning from the Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission, which was in place from 2005 to 2014. We now have a successor mission of Amrut, which addresses the same challenges. We have Swachh Bharat, we have smart cities. But to cut a long story short, we need not only to have new cities, greenfield cities in a planned manner, but we need to fix our 8,000 or so existing cities, and we need to foster synergy between these cities and the rural sector. I turn to my second question. What do planned cities have to offer to the rural sector? You know, in the last 10, 12 years, we've had a recognition that urbanization is there to stay and we should have planned urbanization. But there is still inadequate understanding of how fortunes of the rural sector are linked to planned urbanization and the quality of industrialization. Let me give you a few examples. The Eastern Dedicated Traffic Corridor links Ludhiana to Kolkata via Dadri, where it meets the Western Corridor. So what this rapid, efficient transport network means is that now the states, the northern states of Haryana and Punjab can send their agricultural produce more easily, more efficiently to Mumbai as well as Kolkata. So here are the links. Along the corridors, new cities come up. There are more linkages established with the rural sector. Second, modernization of the rural sector will lead to investment in logistics, in refrigeration. It will encourage farmers to go for high-value crops, and there is another linkage that you establish between the urban sector and the rural sector. Third, when cities provide growth with employment expansion and with opportunities for enterprise, you will have migration from rural to urban areas where people will move to more productive occupations. Their incomes will rise in the urban areas, and also per capita incomes in the rural sector will rise. Because today, just under 50% of our labor force is still dependent on agriculture. And given that agricultural productivity can only increase at a slow pace, we need to lift this burden from the agricultural sector. So very important because today India has a demographic opportunity. 2/3 of our population is of working age, and this percentage is only going to continue to increase until 2040. We often refer to this as demographic dividend. Actually, it is only a demographic opportunity. But if we get our urbanization right, we can convert this opportunity into a demographic dividend. That requires empowering our youth with education and better skills. Recent studies by Martin Ravallion have shown that contrary to what was believed earlier on, urban growth can lead to reduction in rural poverty. A study has come up recently which has shown that. And finally, Punjab is a counter-example of what happens when you don't have planned urbanization. Even if you have a rich agricultural base, you have slow industrial growth and your agriculture also stagnates. So Punjab has come down from being number 1 in per capita income ranking in the end of 80s to number 15 today. So my third question, how can we turn around the situation with respect to the alarming state of public service delivery in our country poor quality of air, unsafe water. I don't need to give you more details because you live that environment every day. However, I have to show you that even in our federal framework where cities are not empowered, they don't have finances that are guaranteed, even in that situation, there are cities in India, and I have documented these in case studies form in my book. I continue to write columns which show that when you have state governments providing an enabling environment, when you have leadership, you have technology and better governance, you can actually do a major transformation of the state of our cities. There is no rocket science involved, only leadership commitment. The role that you and I have to play is to build awareness for what we can do, what we should demand from our municipal government, what from the state government, and what kind of strategic leadership from the government of India. When I was coming in here, I saw a notice board where you have said ideas to share. So I would like to share one idea with you, which is we talk of solid waste management, we talk of Swachh Bharat, and we think of a broom, and we think of putting the garbage from this corner to that. That is not clean India. In order, if you are serious about cleaning your cities, you have to start segregating your waste at source. You have to segregate wet waste from dry waste, and then let the municipality deal with the recycling, resource recovery, and final landfilling of what remains. So here is my message to you. You begin at home and then demand good governance, and better governance will come your way. We have seen that even under Indian political and kind of difficult conditions, there are cities that have actually transformed their scenario in a very small time. Malkapur for 24/7 water, Alandur for sewerage framework 100% within 4 years, and I could go on. There are many stories here, so I would like you to not be apathetic, but engage and demand commitment, and I think it is a very doable job that we can transform our cities. Thank you very much.